all week long, I've been teaching my very powerful community, 1% Nation, about the difference between talent and mental fortitude. And I want to talk about it today because talent gets you noticed, right? But mental fortitude keeps you standing when life hits you in the mouth. And if you're anything like me, if you are a person who's looking to build a business or you're looking to leave a career, I've been in my career. It'll be 29 years this year, looking to leave a career. You have friendships, relationships. You go in through a season of breakups and makeups. You're chasing that dream job or a calling, something that God has called you to. Let me tell you something right now. You're going to need way more motivation. And that's what I want to talk about today because mental fortitude is everything. Because listen, you're going to need mental strength when you get overlooked, rejected, broken up with, you get passed up for the job. You're submitting resume after resume, or you're looking to be promoted, and now companies have changed that policy, and you're thinking to yourself, like, what is it about me that I'm not able to land this job or land this promotion? What is it about me that I'm not able to build this business, scale this business, grow this business? Or you just get blindsided by life, and it's so crazy because so many people that I bump into are going through it, but they're going through it for a few reasons. Number one, I see a lot of people talking about chasing the bag, and I'm going to tell you something that I chase, and I want to share this with you today. And let me give my disclaimer: I'm not here to tell you who or what you should believe in. I'm just here to talk about my experiences, and I pray that this is something that can help you. But something that helped me came from Matthew 6:33, and it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added unto you." What that means is if you seek God first, put him first in your life, that bag that you're chasing, you won't have to chase it because it will chase you down. And it was something I had to learn because seeking, let me just say this though, seeking doesn't mean that things are not going to shake you up. I think the biggest misconception, and I know I've had it since I've given my yes to God, was that things would get easier. Well, let me tell you something. That is not the truth. It means the shaking won't destroy you. It's not that the shaking and the beating and the pressing isn't going to happen. It's that it won't destroy you in the process. And mental fortitude is the ability to stay grounded when your emotions want to run high and your emotions want you to run. And it's a skill that not many people have, and we should work on like harnessing. And I got this from, I was watching a Mel Robbins. She wrote the book Let Them. I was watching one of her episodes, and she had a gentleman on there who trained Olympic level athletes, and they were talking about mental fortitude. And I really want to share this with you today because I know that if you do these three things, it is going to help you if you are going through a season of your life where you're feeling rejected, you're feeling unworthy. Again, a lot of people are being laid off and they're putting their resume in resume after resume and not finding that position that they're looking for, not finding the dollar amount that they're looking for. And I know this is going to help you. Or some people are going through a breakup, or or going through, I'm talking about breakups of friendships, not just a relationship, right? So there's so many things that are happening, going on, and I know that this will help you because mental fortitude means it's not pretending that things don't hurt you. And I know you're like, well, how in the world? How do you know? Well, let me start this by saying, welcome, 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 welcome to Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am Tarnissha Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass, where every single Sunday we come and we talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And today we are literally diving deep into mental fortitude because this is not about being emotionless and unbothered and some superhuman, because that's what we're taught. Oh, we're so unbothered. Let me tell you how I know you're bothered, because you're making a post about being unbothered instead of just going, because most people who are unbothered, they're not having conversation about it. They're just going on with their life. And then this whole thing about being, superhuman, superwoman, superman, the cape. Let me tell you something about that cape. I have officially retired the cape on my back. You know something? I am so over the stigma of needing to be strong. That is not what I'm striving for in this season of my life. I'm seeking fulfillment. I'm seeking joy. I'm seeking God. I'm seeking things that money can't even really buy in this season of my life, right? So mental fortitude is it's really it's emotional honesty with a disciplined response. And so it's feeling the blow without letting the blow knock you completely out. It may knock you down, but not lock you out. So if you're trying to, again, talk about leaving a company after years, again, there's so many people who have had it. I know if you're anything like me, I worked from home for 18 years, and then they call me in. I have to drive into an office every day, and you're talking about driving an hour, 15, 20, sometimes 30, and if it's an accident, 2 hours every single day. So now my thought pattern isn't on, staying in that career. Also, I know that there are some people right now looking to land that dream job, right? They're like, okay, I've worked my butt off. It's time for me to have this. Or they're recovering from some sort of rejection in their life, rebuilding after a breakup, or stepping into something that God has called you to. These are the moments where you think, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to tell y'all something. The moment you say, I don't know if I can do this, that's the moment where mental fortitude has to step in, because it's not about never falling. It's about not staying knocked down. And so when I was listening to this podcast, I was like, yo, this is really going to be a game changer for me, because I'm in the process of so there's been a lot of things that has happened to me. So let's talk about it. The moment I gave my yes to God, on multiple levels, it was the moment all hell broke loose in my life. And I'm like, there's some tools that I had that really worked for me. And then I found in this new season, I had to go and dig up new tools, right? And so that's a lot of times while I'm watching some of these podcasts. And I pray that's why you're watching me today, so you can walk away with things that can help you get through this season of your life. And so this Olympic level coach was talking about, as he trains out athletes, there are some athletes that just miss making the Olympic team, or they make the Olympic team and then, they don't win, whether it's, they don't come in first, second, third place, right? And so he was saying, like, what do you do when they feel that sense of failure and rejection? And the first thing he said is, they don't deny that it hurts. They accept and sit in the fact, and if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes down here. They accept and sit in the fact that it hurts. And this is the number one thing I want to talk to all my strong people about. We have to stop denying that the breakup hurt. We have to stop denying that the falling out with the friendship hurt. We have to stop denying the fact that our life is an upheaval and that it hurts. We have to stop denying that sometimes we go through things with our children and they hurt us. We have to stop denying the hurt, because what's happening is we're suppressing and pushing it down, and it's coming out in other ways. That consistent agitation that you feel, that the level of anxiety that you are feeling. Let me tell you something. It's real, because we're not allowing ourselves to feel what it is that we're going to. And a lot of high performers get into trouble with this, because it's like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to feel this hurt. I don't have time to feel this pain. I don't have time, to sit in my emotions. I'm going to tell you right now, today is the day you got to make time for it. It is the number one thing that's going to help you get to the place you really want to be. See, it's not by denying what hurts us that gets us to a place. You may think it does, because for many years, I was that girl. I was suppressed. I would hold on. First of all, I'm strong. I don't have time for this. One thing for certain, two things for sure. I'm going to get over this, and I'm going to move through it, and I'm going to do what I need to do. All those things. And it didn't help me in the long run. In the long run, it really just made me like, it really just made me so hard, so very, very hard, in a world where I'm designed to be soft and pink and beautiful and sit in my worthiness. There's a strength about my femininity. And I didn't realize that all those years where I was denying the pain, denying the hurt, and just, kind of being mean here and there, I didn't realize that all of that was a part of a simple fact of I wasn't allowing myself to feel what I was going through. But the more you deny it, the more you just prolong it, it's going to come up. And I want you to hear something, that there is such a power when you acknowledge the pain. I'm telling you, it's when you decide, it's a moment of declaration of really taking your life back. Because pain, when you suppress it, it becomes pressure. It becomes anxiety. When you start to feel that, when you feel like I'm rejected and you don't talk about it, you don't allow yourself to feel it. And I'm talking about that's what we call grieving. And there's stages to grief. And there's anger and there's sadness and there's this sometimes anxiety, sometimes it feels like depression. And there's going to be a season where, the emotions are going to come and there can be crying. It's so amazing. I was just on a podcast the other day, and we were talking about this even in regards to men, because so many men don't allow themselves to feel. We were talking about the fact that both of us lost our sons. He lost his son, who was, literally going to be a basketball star. And he really was in his own right. He was already playing overseas and lost him in a car accident. And I lost my son to gun violence. And we were both two, people who lost our sons, like literally with no, it was jarring because it wasn't like there was a sickness or something where you could prepare. It was so sudden and it was so painful. But we were talking about the fact that we both went to grief counseling. We didn't do that thing where, especially in our Black community, we just keep being strong and just keep going. No, we understood the importance of not denying this pain. And at first we both did it though. At first we both were like, we're just going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving for our families. We're going to keep moving for our kids. We're going to keep moving. But there came a point where the sadness became so large. It was like, let me go to therapy. It is so important to make that distinct, that moment of clarity when you say, like, listen, you know what? I have to go get some help. Because a part of not denying the pain is understanding when you need to get professional help outside of you. So the first thing he said is don't deny that it hurts. Number two, he said, get your brain and body out of stress and protect mode. This was so good to me. Because what happens is when you go through high levels of anxiety of stress, your body goes into protect mode. And so what is one of the ways that your body and brain goes into protecting you? Denying the feeling, wanting to get out of it as fast as possible, wanting to help you get busy, want you to go, help everybody else, not help yourself, right? Your nervous system starts to kick in and it's like, I want to save you. How am I going to save you? Well, what's worked in the past? We're going to just pretend that it doesn't happen. We're going to go get busy being busy. We're going to go clean. We're going to go, drink it away, sex it away, smoke it away, because a lot of people turn to vices when life really gets, when that stress really kicks in, instead of learning how to sit in it, learning some tools and tips to help you to sit in the emotion. And I'm not talking about sitting there all day, every single day. I'm talking about allowing yourself these moments to feel and then working with your nervous system to say, I'm okay. So how can we do this? Because stress says retreat, isolate, defend, and shut down. But what we really need is to actually socialize. And I know that's the last thing that you want to do, especially if you're a high achiever, you earn a lot of money, you've built a business, and you built a career. The last thing you want to do is socialize. But let me tell you why it's the best thing you should do, because it releases something called oxytocin. And oxytocin is what is a bonding hormone. It's released in moments of connection, trust, affection, and social bonding. It helps reduce stress and lowers cortisol levels, right? And so why is that so important? It's because this is why I don't subscribe to, we don't need some, I swear to you, please don't ever come talk to me talking about, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, I don't need, if anybody tells you they don't need anybody, I'm gonna need you to get far away from them. Because if you have an attitude of I don't need anyone, that means that there is so much hurt and pain that you have lived through, that you have not healed, that you will not allow yourself. You're going to self-sabotage. And I didn't realize that because I was, with somebody who actually said that, like his first thought was, I don't need anybody. And that should have been assigned to me, but it wasn't in the moment. But coming outside of it, I'm like, wow, if you have that mindset of the first thought is I don't need anyone, that speaks to a level of hurt and pain and possibly the rejection and abandonment that hasn't been healed. Because what I've learned in life, especially when you are looking to build a business, you need customers, you need people. If you desire love, unless you're going to plan on loving yourself, you need someone else, right? Friendship. This is so important. Why? Because it helps you to know that you are not alone in this life. Yesterday I went to a party, right? I haven't been feeling my best, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And yesterday I went to a party. It was my girlfriend turned 55. She had never had a party, and some of her friends decided to throw her a surprise birthday party. And I went, and it was the best thing I could have ever done. What? Because when oxytocin is released, let me tell you something. It it is like what it does is it help you get present. You're in the present moment. You're not thinking about what happened in the past. You're not in the future. That moment when you feel that hug, that moment when you're talking to a friend, that moment gets you present. And that's where the magic is. And so, an example, so let me just give you an example of when oxytocin is released is when you hugging somebody. When you hug somebody, and typically they say when you hug somebody you trust, you don't even have to trust them. A hug does so much for you. A hug, a deep conversation with a close friend where you just get vulnerable. And I'm not talking about getting naked. I tend to get naked in therapy. And nakedness is when I'm letting all the bones like fly out of the closet. And I do have a friend that I could do that with. I have actually more than one friend. However, there are times when I just want to do that in therapy as opposed to laying all that on my friend. Now, if I do decide there's something I need to talk to my friend about, the very first thing I'll do is I'll ask them, do they have the capacity? Listen to this. Do you have the capacity for this? It's so important because everybody's going through something. And sometimes your friends don't have the capacity for it. I know during these last, I want to say from December, January, February, and today is March 1st, I haven't had the capacity to handle other people's stuff. I haven't had it. I This is like probably the worst I have felt in a long time, especially December and January. It was terrible for me, so I didn't have the capacity. So it's so important that you have the capacity. And so if I don't have the capacity to lean on, to be leaned on, I tend to not lean as hard. I may talk to them, and again, that's friendship with reciprocity. And I'm also going to take it to therapy, right? Physical touch is another way oxytocin is really, it's so, let me tell you, this is why having a partner in your life is so beautiful. When you're going through something, having that partner there that can just hold space for you, is such a beautiful thing. And if you don't have a partner, you can get it through friendships as well, right? Allowing your girlfriends to hold you and just hold space, right? And then laughing. Oh my God. Laughing to where your stomach hurts. When was the last time you've done that? I did it last night. Let me tell you something. My knee, I don't even know how my knee got into it, but my knee, my stomach, my back from laughing so hard and dancing. I hadn't danced in a very long time, but this is why, getting your brain and body out of that stress and protect, it gives you a moment just to breathe. So if you're in the thick of it right now, I need you to go socialize with people who are just fun. You don't have to talk about what you're going through right now. You don't have to even, open up about that unless you want to. It's okay to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is strength. Again, ask that person, do they have the capacity for that? And this is why having community is so important. And I want to talk to you about community too, because I've built a community, right? I have a community that's called 1% Nation. Community is bigger than, especially if you've joined a community, than looking through the cube, the little small cube on the Zoom, if you meet via Zoom, right? It's bigger than even if you get together in person, just meeting that one time a week. The whole purpose of community is connecting outside of the community. Get to really know people outside of the screen. And, it's funny because people are like, well, this is my community. Well, you have to build outside of. So I was a part of Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher, his community. I joined that community, and then I was asked to become a lead in that community. And there's people that I bonded with that I still talk to every single week because I knew it was bigger than just being in those screens. So if you are joining community and if you want to join mine, you are more than welcome. www.mosass.com. Reach out. We can definitely see if it's a good fit for you. It's bigger than just being in the screen. It's about creating those relationships outside of. You never know why you're being sent to a place. When I think about all the communities I've been a part of, Tony Robbins, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've been a part of some amazing communities. Dr. Sonia Shirling was another one. When I think about why I was there were some very real things that I needed to get out of those communities. And had I not thought past just not trying to just get close to ET or getting close to Tony. It wasn't about that. Had I not built those relationships, I don't think that I would survive some of the seasons that I've even gone through right now. And so a lot of times we don't realize that our body is literally, and our brain is trying to save and protect it. It's built for that. It's built to protect you. So if you start to feel like, you need to go into isolation, and I was starting to feel that too. Your body cannot heal in isolation. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be with somebody all day, every day. No, there were times when I was literally by myself, and it's because I was crying every single day. And I want to come and I want to say that because so many people are not honest about that. But when they're going through it, building a business is not easy. Somebody who comes and tell you, in 30 days, there's going to be some miraculous miracle, you're going to make $1 million. Let me tell you something. Do I believe in the power of God and that he can do anything? Absolutely. And I also know that no one can guarantee you that you are going to be something unless you commit to it. That's the thing. It's not because we talk about, this, I see all this all the time. They're talking about, these coaching communities, this is a scam, that's a scam. No, your mindset is a scam. There's not been a community that I have gone into that I have not learned something from. And it's because I walk in with the mindset of, I am here to learn something. I'm going to glean something from this. I'm going to get something from this. I don't go in, with that skepticism. You understand me? So to me, you should not be able to enter any place and not get something out of it. And also you have to do your due diligence. You have to discern. You have to ask questions. You have to interview those people. Is this a good fit for me? Don't just join to join, but is this community a good fit for me? Is this going where I'm headed in this season of my life? Because there may be a season that is good for you, and then there may be a season of growth where it's not anymore. You have to do that due diligence. And I'm going to tell you this, investing in yourself is the number one thing that's going to take you to that level that you desire to go to. But if you already have that mentality of everything should be for free and everybody should give you something, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's reciprocity in here. It's reciprocity. It's the same thing of going to a college and investing in your education. It's the same thing with the coaches, right? It's where they take something that would have took you 2 to 4 years to learn, when they chop it down into 90, 180 days, sometimes 6-month programs, right? So it's a really real thing, and it's about how you enter it. And so I'm just going to tell you, like, your nervous system heals in connection and not isolation. And I know if you're anything like me, I don't like to bleed on people. When I'm going through something, I'm like, listen, I don't want to bleed on my friends. And here's the beautiful thing about friendship. If they bleed on you, they really want you to bleed on them. They do. But it's about going in such a way where it's like, hey, listen, do you have the capacity? This is what I'm going through. And I'm going to tell you, last night, I was talking to my friends about, the hormone changes that was happening. And the way we just bonded over having that conversation, because my other girlfriend, I didn't even know, she was going through it really bad too. And she was like, listen, I had to get on HRT. And we both were talking about going on hormone replacement therapy and working with this company called Midi Health. And doing that, we both had two different experiences, even with Midi Health. And I'm gonna give a disclaimer: I'm not here to endorse anyone, and nor am I telling you to get on hormone replacement therapy. I'm just telling you that I realized that I could not build this business. I couldn't keep going with the way my hormones were going up and down. It was a consistent roller coaster of pure D crazy, and I wanted to get off, right? So getting back to it, number one, we talked about don't deny the hurt, right? When we're going through rejection or feeling like we're failing in life, get your body out of stress and protect mode by getting around a community. And I'm going to tell you that by socializing, because again, not only is that going to help you with understanding that you are not alone, it's going to help you feel worthy again. Because if you are applying to job after job and you're not getting any hits, my girlfriend was talking about her daughter applying to all these colleges to get in veterinarian school, and she was feeling this massive rejection because she wasn't getting in anywhere. What that does to you, it can really mess with your mind. This is why you got to get around people who love you, who see the real in you, not people who are going to, I should have said this, not people who are going to pull you down more. Get away from them people, because we're not sitting in it to mope in it. We're not sitting in it to mope in it. We're sitting in it so we can feel it, so that we can learn from it, and so that we can move forward. Not so we can sit in it and then woe is me and we having a pity party. We don't do that, okay? No, we don't. And so the last thing we have to do is build yourself up. And how do you build yourself up? You have to give yourself evidence of your past resilience, right? So that's when you've been knocked down and you got back up. And so the brain believes the proof, okay? Not it doesn't your brain does not believe, sometimes it's like affirmations are great. They are really, really great. And you have to build the proof in the affirmation, right? So, what am I talking about? That's where you are going to write down the things you have gone through before and you have overcome them. I had to write down, I was a 322 a month welfare mother who built, a 29-year career in corporate America where it is not easy. Everybody I started with my career with have all been laid off except for me. That says something about who I am. That says something about my loyalty. That says something about my integrity. That says something about my character, right? So I have to write those things down. I want you to do the same exact thing, right? Because it's going to help your mind remember who you are in the midst of all the mess. Okay. And it's going to help you to know, like, I've overcome some things before. I had to write down how I buried my two sons and how I, walked my family through that. I had to write down how, I was a teen mom and none of my children were teen parents. How proud I am of the work that I did, because that takes some work, honey. It really did, of me really being vulnerable enough to let my children into my story so they understood why I moved and thought the way that I did. And again, I don't want anybody to think there was anything wrong with you being a teen parent, or if you had a child that was a teen parent. This is just something that I wanted for me. And this is something that I wanted to break in my family lineage because my mother was a teen mom, her mom was as well. And it's just something that I wanted to break. But by any means, there is nothing wrong with you because there is nothing wrong with me and I am you, right? Because that was my start. And then my mentor had us do something, and I talked about this last week. My mentor had us do where every single day for 7 days we had to write something amazing about ourselves. Something amazing about me is, and that exercise was so great because I realized so many things that were amazing about me. And what am I doing? I'm building my bank of proof, and you have to too. Because let me tell you something about the enemy. The enemy will try to come for every bit of your mind when you are going through something. But you have to remind yourself you survived a hard season. If you are living, you have had a hard season. If you have to not blame everybody for your hard season. I talk about this many times before. It is not your fault what happened to you as a child. It is absolutely your responsibility. If you are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, it's your responsibility though to heal you, to love you, to set the boundaries, right? So that you can have what it is that you say that you want. No one is in the way of what you want besides you. No one. And so you have to write the times that you rebuilt. You have to write the times that you adapted. You have to write that because confidence is built on when the victories that you have come through, and you have been victorious in some area of your life. And so you have to start to write it down. Some people write your wins. Write your wins. And I'm going to talk about a big win for me. It is 60 days until my first retreat. And let me tell you something. Mental fortitude was required to walk this retreat out, because I promise you, I feel so emotional talking about this, because building this retreat literally almost broke me. The moment I said yes to God's plan, and this was strictly God's plan, it actually came to me. I was at a conference called Cry Out with Pastor Keon Henderson, and I was, praying to God about what's next for me. And he told me to put on this retreat. And the moment that I said yes, I'm telling you, it was like I started to build it. And in the middle of it, I developed anxiety like I've never experienced in my life before. I didn't even know I had anxiety until I started building this. But I also realized this was a part of perimenopausal symptoms that people kept telling me I was normal, and didn't realize that that wasn't truth. Also, my partner who I was with at the time, he also had high levels of anxiety. And I think I was feeling some of his stuff too. In the middle of it, I realized that my perimenopausal symptoms just were coming off the chart, right? So I didn't start HRT honestly until the end of December. It was actually after Christmas, right before New Year's, so that I really, It took me months though to finally break it down. And the reason why it took me months is because I had breast cancer scares before. And so I needed to make sure that this was going to be okay for me. But I also knew that I had to get help. And so in the midst of, I'm planning this retreat, right? And I started dating someone and we fell in love, and I'm building this thing. I'm talking to him about it. He became my person when everything else in my life was going crazy. He was my anchor, that I would come to and I would talk about things. Well, lo and behold, we break up, and the breakup happened. And I'm like, man, in the middle of planning the retreat, planning it, talking to him about it. And now that's gone, and we don't talk anymore, and I'm talking to this person every single day, and we're building this foundation of a relationship. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because in the midst of this, what have I talked about earlier? I worked from home for 18 years. Last year they called us in the office, and now I'm driving in 5 days a week. And for many people, they were like, oh, like, what's the big deal? Well, I haven't been in the office in 18 years. I haven't had to drive every single day, an hour, 15, 20, 30 minutes every single day. And so some people, it may feel like privilege, but to me, I feel like, no, that's not a privilege. I worked my behind off to get that promotion so that I could work from home every day. If they didn't hand that to me back then, you had to get promoted in order to work from home. I worked my butt off for that. And now everything was changing. So in the midst of building this, I'm going through all of this shakeup and makeup. And then, I wasn't around as many people. And so it would have been so easy for me just to cancel everything. Real talk. It would have been easy for, not this year. God, I'm not doing it. This is too much. And I'm not going to lie to you. It was many times where I wanted to walk away and I wanted to quit. And I'm just like, I just wanted to crawl in the corner and just say, forget it all. I really did. I wanted to ball up in the corner. But I realized that quitting on me is not an option. I realized that God trusted me with something. He trusted me with the vision. He's trusted me with these beautiful women who are coming to the retreat. And I actually have 3 seats left. And I said, quitting is just not it. So what I had to do, and I hope that you hear this, I had to lean on the tools that I had set up for myself, because I've always said I'm going to be successful, whether it was being in my corporate career or building my business. And so what's in my toolbox? Therapy. So I already had one therapist that I was working with. She helps me work through a lot of feeling in my body where the trauma is releasing. I went and got another therapist who I work with on attachment styles. I wanted to help me work through this anxiety that was riddling my body. And so most people will be like, what? Absolutely. Because instead of, blaming him or going, thinking about, what could have, would have, should have been in this relate, I had to learn how to grieve everything that I had was building with this person. I had to grieve the friendship that's no longer there. And so when that happened, it also kicked up some dust on some old friendships that, like, man, wasn't in my life anymore. So I'm like, okay, I had to go in my toolbox. I hired a black male therapist, right? So I have a white female therapist. Now I have a black male therapist. And it was the best thing I could have ever done for me. I'm learning so many things about me in just relationships, and how hard I am on myself, because I have a high level of expectation for myself in everything that I do. And I'm super, super hard on myself. So, this is really helping me. And then I had to lean on my mentor more than ever. She has been a godsend for me. Evangelist Latrice, I love her so much. And guess where she came? This is why the beauty of God is so important. In cry out conference, I prayed about 3 things. One, my husband, right? That because I desire to be married again. 2, what's next, what God wanted me to do. And 3, a mentor. Guess where I got that mentor? In there. Literally, I saw her and God was like, that's it. That's her. I'm like, okay. When I got the whisper, I need you to hear me. I didn't sit on it. I acted on it. The same whisper about the retreat. I set the date, and it's a bold move. And so, and when you set out to do something bold and big, just know things are going to come up against you, and you can't quit on yourself in the process. I'm not telling you this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but I had to lean on my therapist. I had to lean on my mentor and lean on my communities. I have 2 beautiful communities, one with my mentor, Kingdom Sniper Institute, and another community that I'm in. We're actually reading this book called Mary and Martha. It's a Christian-based community. Why is this important? Because even when I didn't want to lean on my friends, I had community to walk me through, to help me go through different steps. And it's so crazy that during all this, I also have my own community that I'm building, and I'm teaching them. So it's a place for me to get poured into because I'm still pouring out. You understand? So these tools are so great. And so slowly I walk through it. And now the today's March 1st, I've never felt so good. These last couple of months have been hell. It's been a long 2026. Do you hear me? And now I'm 60 days out from this retreat. And so when God calls you to something, quitting is not an option. You are going to grow through some things. And let me tell you something. My prayer was, God, your will be done, not mine. And so I had to realize that maybe it wasn't in God's will for me in that relationship. And that person is not bad. He was so beautiful for me, and he was so great for me, and he helped me to see things. He helped me to learn things, and it was such a beautiful experience. I had an opportunity to feel love in my life in a time where there was a lot going on for me. I'm in a transition. All my children are grown adults. That's also tough because they don't need you in the same way anymore. So it was. And why am I telling you this? Because something doesn't have to be bad in order for you to walk away from it. It wasn't that it was bad. It just maybe that it wasn't in alignment. And I had to come to that conclusion. My prayer was like, if God, your will be done, not mine. Right. So you know, life doesn't stop life, but I refuse to abandon myself. I refuse to quit on those women. You got to hear me. When God calls you to something and it says the sheep shall know my voice, he's bringing in your people. There's something that you can only deliver to them. And if you quit on it, then they are not going to get their breakthrough and their healing. And I refuse that. I refuse to let the enemy win. It's so interesting though, right? It, it, it almost felt like in the midst of it, he was winning. It wasn't until I started to come out of the lift of the fog when I realized, oh no, God was showing me some very, very real things. And so when we talk about mental fortitude and mental toughness, we always think about it from an athletic standpoint. And I used to compete in powerlifting. That's another reason why, it's so big. But it looks like, it's for women who have decided to leave their marriages, who are going through a divorce, people who are going through a breakup, changing professional careers. Mental fortitude is for entrepreneurs launching new offers. If you're launching something new, and we're not doing this get rich quick scheme stuff, it's going to take mental fortitude. Leaders, listen, navigating grief, because you still have to lead in the process of your lifing. Do you know how amazing you are that you still showing up as a leader, although all hell is breaking through in your life? You better write that down as a win. You better write that down today. Anybody building something that matters, mental fortitude is going to be the very thing that's going to carry you through. Because let me tell you something, the world will celebrate your results, because if you put anything out there, they're like, oh my God, she's an overnight sensation, she's an overnight this, look what happens to her. They don't realize all hell was breaking through in your life, and the reason why you are still standing is because you refused to not quit on yourself. You refused to lay down even though life kept knocking you down, right? And I'm gonna tell you something, this is why seek first the kingdom of God is so important, because God is going to also help you build your resilience. I had to go into the word, do you hear me, and speak that over my life, and it's going to help you. It doesn't necessarily, let me tell you something about the word. When you speak truth to yourself, it really does help your heart. It really does help your spirit. It really does help your mind. I promise you it was. And I'm not here to tell you who your God is or should be. I'm just telling you to get into the word. It's really going to help you. And sometimes it's just about feeling better in the moment. Stop trying to feel better. I got to the point where I wasn't looking at trying to feel better for the month or the year. Just in the moment, Father God, help me in this moment. Do you hear me? Just to bring myself out of it, I had to learn to pick up that phone and phone a friend, just to get me out of the moment. I had to turn on something and watch a comedy and laugh until my stomach hurt, just to help me get through a moment. Stop looking for the big thing. It's the one small thing that you're going to do every single day that's going to help, right? And so you don't build this when things are going easier in your life. It's when all hell is breaking loose that you like, okay. And so you have to start to build your toolbox. What is in your toolbox? Do you have a therapist if you need one? I'm telling you right now, if you are a leader who desires success, you need a therapist, because Each level is going to require another unraveling of the onion of you. Okay, having a mentor, having a coach, having a community, some place that's going to help you be accountable, right? So that you can get to the next level of your life. And so you don't just listen, you don't just brace and survive the storm by let me just sleep through it. I've been there too. Like, let me just go to bed and hope it all goes over. But it's going to help you to grow through the storm. The storms are never going to stop coming. They're never going to stop. You just get better at being able to heal and get through the other side, so you can even see why the storm was there, because there is a reason. But when you going through it, you don't want to hear that. When you going through it, you like, please, I don't want to hear no reason. I just want to feel better. And that's a beautiful thing, that you just want to feel better. What is it that you're going to reach for to feel better that's not going to destroy your mind, that's not going to destroy your body, that's not going to destroy your spirit? And why am I saying this? Because you can't reach for the alcohol. You can't reach for the drug. You can't reach for the sex. You can't just go bury yourself in another body, because that's what it is when you jump from person to person and you're having sex and you're still feeling empty. Ask me how I know. I wasn't necessarily like sleeping around, but I also realized that that's why I didn't just jump into another relationship, because that's not going to change it, and it's not going to heal that thing that's inside of you. Only you and God can do that. Only you and God can do that. And so God may bring you people to help you. That's why the therapist is there. That's why the coach is there, right? And you have to walk that thing out. You have to walk that thing out, honey. And so you don't rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of what you are built in, which is that resilience and that mental fortitude. And so this is why really having this retreat matters so much. I promise you, because I really want to help people, build this mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical structure that's required to help them get to the next level of their life. It's so important. Every time you get to the top of one mountain, there is going to be another. And that means you're gonna have to climb down. And I'm telling you something, going to the bottom of and you in the middle of the valley, it feels like pure D hell and death as you're walking through it. But just know, if you have the right people, if you have the right tools, if you have the right plan, and you don't quit on your vision, you're going to get to that top again. But this time you won't have to do it alone. I'm not walking to the top of this mountain that God is taking me to alone. Let me tell you who's in here. First of all, God Almighty Himself, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. I think I got Peter, Paul, Mary, all of them walking with me. And bigger than that, my mentor is walking with me. My therapists are walking with me. My community is walking with me. They are all walking with me as I'm going to the top of this next mountain. And the top of this next mountain is this retreat, because I know that what God is going to do in there with these women is going to be nothing short of amazing. And they're going to come in there. Guess what? Because if He's walking me through this, that means that they're coming in there with this, and I'm going to help them to be able to walk through it. We're going to get real about what's happening, where they are right now in your life. Then we're going to take ownership of it, and we're going to build this thing out. This is the vision. We're going to take the steps so that you can then go and grow in that action, right? So we get to do that in the retreat, because this is where you get the clarity, the alignment, because it's not that it's not going to happen, it's that you are out of alignment. You're trying to do something in the season that it doesn't fit anymore. You want to do what you did yesterday, but always don't open new doors. And so now God is trying to do something new, and you don't want to let it in because your body is in protect, right? Protect mode, because you are stressed out, you're feeling anxiety, and or you're depressed. Okay. And so we need to foster resilience. But the way we get to resilience is not the old way, because before you just survived, right? It's before you just I'm just going to muscle up through it. I don't need nobody. I ain't talking to nobody. That's not working in this season, nor will it work. And so we have to come up with strategies and structure. Okay, so that you can get in. First, we got to get into alignment, right? And so this is where we're going to get our mind and our money right, so we can move differently. The tool of money is important, but seek first the kingdom of God, and it shall be given to you. That means if you keep on seeking, that's going to come. It has no other choice. But if you chase the bag versus building the foundation, even if you get the bag, you're going to crumble. I said what I said. But this is what I need you to do, because I want to close this out. For the next 7 days, I want you to do something that's so simple but powerful. Every single day, I want you to write something amazing about me is. Don't every single day. Do it for 30 days and watch how your life changes. Because this is how you build confidence in yourself. This is how you build the evidence. This is how you strengthen your mind. This is how you build the identity of you. Because at the end of the day, your mind tends to forget the beautiful things or always wants to come in with something negative, but you have to remind yourself of who you really are on the inside, how you love others, how you've been there for other people, how you've built this career, how you built this business. Even if the business didn't work out, you had enough heart. You know how much heart it takes to even say, I'm going to put something out there and I'm going to do it. It takes so much to write a book. And if you want to write a book, you want to know how to do it, just start writing. I've written down four, I believe. It just takes you to start writing. And it's going to help strengthen you. It's going to help strengthen you. And so, even if I want you to start today, just by after you watch this video, just write something amazing about me is, and tell me what's amazing about you. I don't care if you come back to this video and you write it here every 30 days. I want you to write what's amazing about you because you are simply amazing. I don't care if no one else has told you. I don't care if no one else has ever believed in you. I told you last night, my girlfriend had her very first party. She had never had a party, 55 years. You know why that happened? Because she has given out so much love that everybody wanted to show up and give her love back. The thing is that you have not simply put out that amazing thing about you. So write it in the comments. I can't wait to read it. If you want to learn more information about my retreat, www.mosass.com and or info@mosass.com. You can email me. And I hope you have the most amazing Sunday. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye now.